But I want you to realize it wasn't always this way. After finishing a successful career in IT, I took up a completely different career in therapy and personal change, and I struggled to be successful for quite a while. But then I realized that it wasn't my environment or the things around me that were limiting my levels of success. It was me and the things I was doing, and that's what I set out to change. Now, ultimately, all I had to do was change my thinking to deal with the law of three: emotions, beliefs, and behaviors. Now, being an expert in hypnosis at least, I used self-hypnosis to change my beliefs and my expectations, and also to program in new levels of creativity. Almost instantly, things changed. The impossible became possible. Barriers became opportunities, and failures became successes. You can have the same. Follow the techniques on these audios, you'll get exactly the same result. The impossible will become possible. Barriers will become opportunities, and failures will turn into successes. Now, after I realized that it was actually me that had been at fault, I continued to use simple strategies to make change happen, and I'm still doing that. I worked on my thinking further, and this resulted in a complete transformation in terms of the types and levels of success I was able to achieve. And as I record this, this is just the very beginning. Changing your thinking is the key to this. By thinking, I mean both emotions and beliefs, by the way, and from them, behaviors. pstek provides really simple tools to do this. It's simply a matter of deciding what you want and then using the audios to help you. My purpose so far has been to get you to question the validity of any limitation you've imposed upon yourself. Hopefully, by now you have the free pstek audios. If not, then quickly scoot over to www.pstek.org and download them. You'll need them to work through the system from this point. You can get them any time of day or night, and they're completely free to download and use. And if you want them, at the time I record this, they're available on CD too. They're not essential, but I advise level 1 and the accelerators, as long as you can afford to get them. They're cheap anyway. If you haven't got them, then do consider getting them, because they will make this process easier and more powerful. From this point on, though, I'll assume that you've at least got the free click tracks. You may even have some experience of using them successfully for one issue or another. If not, then really you should do that. Use the free tracks, and be sure you know how to use them. The instructions, by the way, are there for a reason. I advise you to follow the instructions without deviation, because that's the way to get the best results. Remember, the pstek techniques and tracks were designed to work in a certain way. And so when you follow my instructions fully and completely, you'll get the best results. So say to yourself, yes, I will follow his instructions. I'll follow these instructions to the letter. Now, if you do that, you're going to get the best results. Okay, what do the click tracks actually do, and how can you use them to bring success and abundance into your life and for making your own dreams a reality? Most people use the click tracks for therapy and for resolving problems, but when combined with a simple formula for achieving your dreams and success, the result is one simple and awesomely powerful and life-changing experience in the making. And that's what the rest of this audio is about. At this point, you may be thinking, how on earth do I change things that are unconscious to release abundant success and happiness and to achieve almost anything the easy way? Well, that's a good question, because that's what we're coming on to here. I actually touched on some of the ways to do this in another pstek audio, and that was on level 1. Now, even if you haven't got it, I just need to refer to it for a moment, because if you want them, level 1 comes with the pstek positive click tracks. Now, unlike the free click tracks, which are designed to neutralize negative emotions, the pstek positive tracks are specifically designed to help you change your beliefs. And that's really their primary purpose, and they give you a way to do it quickly and easily. Now, you can use this system without them if you want, but if you want help in changing your beliefs, then you may want to go for those. Again, it's entirely up to you. Whether you have them or not, the basic steps for changing your beliefs in the most successful way are as follows. First, to accept that something might be possible. Then to accept that something is possible. Then to change your expectation. To first say that you can do this, and that you will do this, and finally decide that from now on it applies to you. Because lots of people want to know about weight loss, I'm going to use that as an example. Now, to make this most useful, I'm going to frame this in terms of suggestions for pstek positive, but if you haven't got it, these are still the same steps that you need to work through. It just might be a bit slower, that's all. Remember, we work from the possible to the expectation, and then through to the I cans, and finally to the I ams and I do's. Suggestions could be as follows. Other people have proved that weight loss is possible. Even though I've struggled in the past, I know it's at least possible for me to lose weight. It was my expectations that stopped me losing weight. Weight loss is about doing the right things in the right ways. My body is meant to be slim, and I can lose weight. And then you add others such as being slimmer makes me feel good. As I lose weight, I feel safer and happier. Weight loss is straightforward enough now that I know how to go about it. I can actually enjoy losing weight now. My body is meant to be naturally slim. I realize that now. I started out by using statements that simply allowed for the possibility of change, but they don't create change of themselves. Then we change the expectation. Having realized that it's possible, we start to work on the expectation. And finally, as you build the expectation, you can be more direct in changing beliefs and also specify behaviors too. Now, whether you're doing this with or without pstek positive, then the sequence is exactly the same. It's as follows. To change ideas relating to possibility, to accept the possibility, then to change your expectations, before finally going in with the I cans, I do's, and I ams. So that's the belief side of weight loss covered, really. It's not rocket science, but while you believe it's not possible, then it's not going to happen. And you can't build expectations until you accept that it's possible. So those sorts of things need to be taken in sequence. You work from the possibilities through to the expectations, and then eventually onto the I cans, I do's, and I ams. Now, the next step in undertaking any kind of weight loss that I recommend is to do some non-specific repatterning with pstek. So this is the form of repatterning whereby you simply deal with problem experiences from the past, but without specifying any kind of outcome or goal. You'll appreciate the difference later when I explain the specific repatterning process. So let's take a good look at this example of non-specific repatterning. Now remember, non-specific repatterning is about picking events from the past and neutralizing whatever sting they may still have in their tails, using the click tracks to turn them down. One of the great things about making pstek free is that during this first year, I've had lots and lots of feedback on exactly how it's been used by people all over the world, and also what successes they've had with it. A great many people have experienced spontaneous weight loss when using pstek, and have been able to identify from the feedback that's come in how to use the click tracks to do that. And that's really what I was saying before about me holding off on producing this audio because I needed to see all that feedback come in. What's been said by people who've given me feedback is exactly in line with my expectations, but I needed to check it first. For successful weight loss, if it's important to you, you should use the free click tracks to neutralize any negative emotions or feelings associated with some very specific types of past event. If you have level 1 or the accelerators, then you can work through this more quickly, but even the basic click tracks will do. The types of event that you need to recall and to run through the click track process for weight loss are all of the following. 1. Bad relationships. 2. Being bullied. 3. Being abused. 4. Being mugged or attacked or perhaps stolen from. 5. Fights at school or maybe anything similar. 6. Any experience that impacted on either your confidence or your feelings of personal safety. 7. Any bad sexual experiences. 8. Any serious illnesses from the past. Every experience from your past that fits within those parameters should be run through the click track process to neutralize any negative emotions that may still be attached. Now, if you can remember such incidents, but you're not really aware of any negative feelings, then still work each event through the process at least once. Start with the major ones and then work your way through the minor ones. What you're meant to be doing is getting any emotions down to at least a 0 or a 1. And like I said, if you remember something that fits these criteria, but it seems to carry little or no negative emotion, then do at least work it through the process once. Depending on what your past was like, there may be quite a lot to work through here, so dedication may be required, but it's still going to be a whole lot easier and possibly cheaper than dieting. And if the free click tracks become too predictable, then use the EEFs. They come with level 1. I also recommend use of the accelerators because those will help you to remember instances and events which might fit these parameters, and you should deal with those as well. Now, in order to help you prioritize this, let me explain why this works for weight loss. Firstly, dealing with the past helps you to feel better about yourself. The creation of more positive emotion within you protects you from emotional eating. Now, it's long been known that people eat for reasons that are not just related to hunger. Emotional eating is a big problem for many people, and some people are not even aware that they do it. Do you ever eat when you're not hungry? If so, then you're almost certainly an emotional eater to a certain extent. The other reason is much more significant, and it relates to the protective function of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind may not be rational, but it's smart enough to know that bigger people tend not to get picked on as much as those who appear weak. Now, that applies particularly in childhood, where all of our programs are set up, and it's become evident that for some people at least, weight is gained as a means of protection. All events which carry fear and anxiety and which relate to any kind of threat to your personal safety can contribute to weight gain. And remember that this is totally and completely outside of conscious awareness. The subconscious also knows that weight gain can have an impact on sexual opportunity, and therefore bad sexual experiences can lead to unconscious self-sabotage and avoidance strategies such as weight gain, and this is why they need to be dealt with too. And the reason for click tracking memories of serious illness is that very often when people become ill, they lose weight. The subconscious is more than capable of deciding to carry some extra to compensate just in case it ever happens again. Now, yes, of course, it's absolutely possible for people to have been bullied or had bad experiences or illnesses and for their subconscious not to see it as a reason for the retention of weight. But whether it does or it doesn't is down to individuals and individual past experience. The reaction of the subconscious is dictated by whatever experience preceded it. So if you're carrying extra weight, which doesn't seem to want to shift, no matter how hard you try, then I seriously advise you work through those kinds of experiences. As soon as the subconscious lets go of the anxiety, then it has no need to retain weight as a means of protection against possible repeats. And like I said, for many people, emotional eating is a big factor in unwanted weight gain anyway, so using the click tracks to clear past experience will improve your emotional state and also protect you from emotional eating as well. So be sure to do non-specific repatterning for all events from the past that relate to the following: bad relationships, being bullied, being abused, being mugged or attacked or perhaps stolen from, fights at school or anything similar, any experience that impacted on your confidence or your feelings of personal safety, any bad sexual experiences, and any serious illnesses from the past. Remember that the past is not just in the past. The past is recycled on a daily basis below consciousness, and sometimes consciously too. In other words, the past is relived every day of your life in your mind, unless and until you do something about it. Remember that your subconscious is very real, and that, unlike the conscious mind, it has the means to adjust such things as metabolism and appetite, and it will protect you from any danger, real or imagined. As soon as it perceives no reason to carry excess weight for protection or comfort, then it can automatically stop that, and it can suppress hunger, increase metabolism, and change your nutritional intake. Get this right, and you won't even have to think about it. That's what's become evident from the feedback. Weight loss will just happen for you, and that's a whole lot easier than having to diet. And like I say, this is not just a theory, it's borne out by experience. This is what's come in terms of feedback. When I've talked to people or got emails from people, there's all sorts of things that I've been able to piece together. These are the kinds of situations that you absolutely need to click track if you want to be successful. And that's why I've shared this with you, because what other people did by accident, you can do by design. Now, I've tried to suggest the types of events that you need to click track to lose weight, but because your experiences are so unique, I can't specify them all. But remember, that's one of the reasons why I also suggest you might want to use the pstek accelerators to help you with this. The accelerators help to stimulate recall, and they can be used to bring to mind events that you need to deal with to work on weight loss to be successful in this way. We're not leaving this to chance, though, because some excess weight can have origins in learned habits as well, and if that's applicable, then that particular aspect of weight loss needs to be dealt with differently. Remember to clear down any stress at the end of the day, because this reduces emotional eating as well. The next thing to do, if you're really serious about weight loss, is to follow the 7-step repatterning process that I'll talk about in a later chapter, but for now be sure to work through and follow this non-specific repatterning process, which might take a while for some people. All right, we've seen an example of non-specific repatterning. It's about dealing with all the garbage from the past, so it's not inadvertently played out again and again in the present and in the future. Now let's move on to specific repatterning with pstek. That's what we're going to start on the next chapter.